Ambassador Vex'thor had been a bureaucrat for 73 years, and in all that time he had never seen the Galactic Council chamber smell like fear. But fear has a smell, apparently. It smells like recycled air, stress pheromones, and the collective panic of 200 species, realizing they're completely screwed. 47 worlds, Council Director Brennak announced, her three-toned voice cracking on the last syllable. 47 worlds in 3 months. The Crimson Rot doesn't care about your technology, your medicine, or your carefully worded diplomatic immunity clauses. Vex'thor adjusted his ceremonial sash with 2 of his 4 arms, while the other 2 frantically typed notes. The holographic display behind Brennak showed the progression. Red dots spreading across the galactic map like someone had sneezed on it, which, coincidentally, was exactly how the plague spread. Mortality rate holding at 99.8%, droned Chief Medical Officer Talrix, who looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. Probably because his species didn't sleep, but still, the guy looked rough. Symptoms include crystallization of internal organs, complete system shutdown, and in the final stages, what we're professionally calling the screaming phase. That's the technical term, someone asked. You try watching someone go through it and tell me what else to call it. The room fell silent. Vex'thor had seen the footage. The screaming phase was indeed the most accurate description available. What about the Zentari cure? Asked Representative Kix, tentacles writhing nervously. Worked for 6 days. Then the plague adapted and killed them faster. The 4-taxi meditation technique? You can't meditate away a disease that turns your lungs into rubies. Well, you can try, but you'll die enlightened. Vex'thor watched species after species propose solutions that had already failed. Force fields? The plague was biological, not a laser beam. Evacuation? To where exactly? The vacation planets were already full of the infected. Thoughts and prayers, surprisingly ineffective against microscopic organisms. We've lost contact with the hive worlds, Talrix continued, pulling up more data that nobody wanted to see. The Cathor Confederacy has fallen. The Silicon Collective tried uploading their consciousness to machines, and the plague somehow infected their servers. We're not even sure how that's biologically possible. This is extinction level, Brennak said quietly. Not for one species, for all of us. The room erupted into chaos. Shouting, wailing, one representative fainted, and another started updating their last will and testament right there in the chamber. Wait, Vex'thor said, squinting at the galactic map. Everyone ignored him. Wait, he tried again, louder. Still nothing. He grabbed the nearest ceremonial staff and banged it against the floor, which was apparently the universal sign for shut up and listen. There's one world we haven't checked. He pointed at a small blue dot in an unfashionable arm of the galaxy. Earth. The humans. We quarantined them decades ago for being too chaotic, remember? The council stared at the dot. They're probably already dead, Talrix said. Humans had no advanced biosecurity, their medical technology was primitive, and their concept of personal space was, quote, highly problematic. The plague would have torn through them in days. So we're agreed, Brennak said. Someone needs to visit Earth and document the extinction for the historical records. Every single representative suddenly found something fascinating to look at on the floor. Vex'thor, Brennak continued, you brought it up. Congratulations, you're volunteered. That's not what volunteered means. It is now. Take a quarantine ship. Wear full protective gear. Say something nice at their mass grave. Try not to catch the plague that's killed 47 civilizations. Vex'thor looked at the blue dot on the map. Such a small, insignificant planet. Humanity had been considered a joke. Violent, disease-ridden, and absolutely terrible at following basic galactic health and safety regulations. Fine, he muttered, but I'm expensing the therapy bills. Vex'thor's ship broke through Earth's atmosphere, expecting to see the telltale signs of apocalypse. Burning cities, maybe. Mass graves, definitely. That eerie silence that comes when civilization collapses and takes the screaming with it. Instead, he saw a parking lot. A very full parking lot, with food trucks. This is wrong, he muttered, checking his instruments again. This is very wrong. He landed his quarantine vessel in what appeared to be a government facility based on the impressive number of bland rectangular buildings and depressing landscaping. A human male in casual clothing approached, holding what appeared to be a sandwich. "You the alien?" the human called out. Vex'thor descended the ramp in full biohazard gear, 3 independent air filters running, decontamination field active, and enough protective layers to survive a solar flare. "I am Ambassador Vex'thor of the Galactic Council. I've come to, He paused. "Where are all your dead?" "Dead?" The human took a bite of his sandwich. "From what?" "The crimson rot," Vex'thor shouted through his helmet speakers. "The plague. The extinction-level pandemic that's destroyed 47 civilizations in 3 months. The crystallization disease. The screaming phase. Any of this ringing a bell?" "Oh, that thing," the human said. "Yeah, we got that back in June. Cleared up pretty quick, though. I'm Captain Rick Hoffman, CDC. Want some coffee? You look stressed." Vex'thor stood very still. His 3 hearts were doing something complicated that his species' medical textbooks had labeled as extreme psychological distress response. "You got that?" "Yeah, came in through some meteorite samples. Infected maybe 30,000 people before we got a handle on it." 30,000, Vex'thor repeated. "The hive world's lost 30 billion in the first week." "Yikes," Rick said with the kind of casual sympathy usually reserved for hearing someone's sports team lost. "Want to come inside? The parking lot's not great for detailed conversations." Vex'thor followed, mainly because his legs were moving on autopilot while his brain tried to process what he was hearing. The interior of the CDC building looked aggressively normal. Humans walking around with coffee cups, someone complaining about the printer. A potted plant that was definitely dying, but nobody had thrown out yet. "Dr. Tanaka," Rick called out. "We've got a visitor asking about the June outbreak." A woman in a lab coat looked up from her computer, pushed her glasses up and waved. "The crystallization thing. Yeah, that was weird. Come on back, I've still got samples." "You have samples?" Vex'thor's voice went up several octaves. "Of the plague that's ending galactic civilization?" "Well, yeah. How else do we study it?" Dr. Yuki Tanaka gestured to her lab. "We've got it contained in a level 4 facility. Standard protocol." Vex'thor pulled up his holographic display with shaking hands and showed them the footage. Worlds dying, cities collapsing, the screaming phase in all its horrific glory. Yuki watched, face pale. Rick stopped mid-sip of his coffee. "That's the same disease?" Yuki asked quietly. "Yes." "And it did that to everyone else?" "Everyone." Rick and Yuki exchanged looks. "But not you," Vex'thor continued. "Why not you?" "I mean," Rick said slowly, "people got sick, really sick. We lost about 300 people before we figured out treatment protocols, but our immune systems just kind of dealt with it. Standard antiviral treatments, supportive care, lots of fluids, the usual." "The usual," Vex'thor repeated flatly. "Yeah, we thought it was concerning but manageable, like a bad flu season." Rick paused. "Should we have been more worried?" Vex'thor walked outside, found a bench, and sat down heavily. His protective suit made a deflating sound. Through the visor, he could see humans going about their day, laughing, eating, living. 47 worlds had died screaming, and humans had taken Tylenol. "I need," Vex'thor said to no one in particular, "so much therapy." Dr. Yuki Tanaka had seen some strange things in her career. The time that prion disease showed up in artisanal cheese, the incident with the genetically modified mosquitoes that nobody talked about anymore, that whole thing in 2027 that was still classified. But an alien having a panic attack on the bench outside was a new one. "Okay," she said, sitting down next to Vex'thor with her tablet. "Let's figure this out scientifically. You said this plague killed everyone else at 99.8%? "Yes," Vex'thor said, voice muffled by his helmet. "And humans had a mortality rate of approximately 1%, which is insane. Do you understand that? Your survival rate is statistically impossible. I mean, 1% is still 300 people dead, so I wouldn't call it a win exactly." Yuki pulled up her files. "But yeah, that's weird. Want to see our data?" 20 minutes later, they were in Yuki's lab with Captain Rick and another scientist who'd introduced himself as Trevor Zhang, immunologist, and apparently the kind of person who got way too excited about disease statistics. "This is so cool," Trevor said, practically bouncing. "Do you know how rare it is to see a pathogen with this kind of differential mortality rate across species?" "People died, Trevor," Yuki said. I know, very sad, but also scientifically fascinating." Vex'thor looked at the human analysis of the crimson rot. "You sequenced it completely?" "Oh yeah, first week," Trevor said. "Standard procedure. It's a nasty little protein-folding nightmare. Hits the respiratory system first, then cascades through major organs, causing crystallization. Honestly, it's elegant work from an evolutionary perspective." "Elegant," Vex'thor repeated. "It killed the hive worlds in 6 days." "Right, but see, that's because they had no immune memory of anything similar." Trevor pulled up a comparison chart. "Your species, what kind of diseases did you evolve with?" "The Galactic Council maintains strict biosecurity protocols. Disease has been essentially eliminated for 3,000 years. Rick choked on his coffee. 3,000 years? No diseases at all? Correct. We consider it one of civilization's greatest achievements. The three humans exchanged looks that Vex'thor was learning to dread. Oh no, Yuki said. Oh, you poor things. What? She pulled up Earth's medical history. Okay, so humanity has been fighting diseases for our entire existence. Black Death killed a third of Europe in the 1300s. Smallpox, tuberculosis, malaria, cholera, typhoid, influenza. The Spanish flu of 1918 killed 50 million people, Rick added. That's after we had modern medicine. HIV, Ebola, SARS, COVID-19. Trevor continued, ticking them off on his fingers. We had a whole pandemic in the 2020s that shut down the planet for 2 years. Humanity's basically been in constant biological warfare since we climbed down from the trees. Vex'thor stared at them. And you survived? Well, obviously we're here. Trevor grinned. Our immune systems are like battle-hardened veterans. We've seen everything. When the crimson rot showed up, our bodies basically went, oh, this again, mobilized antibodies and handled it. Your species evolved in a disease-free environment, Yuki said gently. Your immune systems never had to get good at fighting pathogens. You're like, immunologically, trust fund babies. Whereas humans are the immune system equivalent of street fighters, Rick added. That's actually a really good analogy, Trevor said. Vex'thor felt something he had not felt since his first day of diplomatic training, completely out of his depth. So you're saying humanity survived because you've spent millennia almost dying from diseases? Natural selection's a hell of a teacher, Yuki said. We also have terrible hygiene practices historically, Trevor added cheerfully. Medieval Europe was basically a disease incubator. Cities with no sewage systems, people throwing waste in the streets, bathing maybe twice a year. Please stop, Vex'thor said. And we eat things that other species would consider biological warfare, Rick continued. Fermented foods, aged cheese, yogurt, kimchi. We intentionally let bacteria grow in our food and then eat it. We drink the mammary secretions of other animals, Trevor said. I said stop. Yuki held up a hand. The point is, Ambassador, your species and all the others in the Galactic Council took the smart path. You eliminated diseases early, maintained clean environments, developed in careful isolation. It was the intelligent, civilized approach. And humanity took the path of maximum chaos. We lived in filth, traveled constantly, mixed populations, domesticated animals, and caught their diseases, fought wars that spread plagues, and basically did everything wrong from an epidemiological standpoint. And? Which made us, Trevor said, grinning, really, really good at not dying from new diseases. Vex'thor was quiet for a long moment. So the galaxy is dying because we were too successful at preventing disease. Essentially, yes. And humanity is fine because you're walking Petri dishes. We prefer biologically resilient, Rick said. But sure. I need to make a call, Vex'thor said, standing up. The council needs to hear this. He got 3 steps before he felt it. A tickle in his throat, a warmth in his face, a sudden, overwhelming exhaustion. "Oh," he said quietly. "Oh no." Yuki was at his side immediately. "What's wrong?" "I'm infected. I must have caught it from my ship's systems during quarantine. The crimson rot, it's starting." "How long do you have?" Rick asked, already moving. "Based on other cases, maybe 6 hours before the screaming phase." Trevor's excitement vanished, replaced by clinical focus. "Then we've got work to do." Captain Rick Hoffman had handled numerous biological crises in his career. The anthrax scare of 2031, the modified measles outbreak that shouldn't have happened but did, that incident with the research lab in Montana that absolutely nobody was allowed to talk about ever. But he'd never tried to save an alien's life before. "Okay," he said as they rushed Vex'thor into the medical wing. "What do we know?" "Crystallization starts in the lungs," Yuki called out, pulling up the crimson rot data on every available screen, then spreads to other major organs. The process takes about 4 to 6 hours in most species. "Vex'thor, what's your biology like?" Trevor asked, helping the ambassador onto an exam table. "Do you even have lungs?" 3 respiratory chambers, Vex'thor gasped. His skin had taken on a grayish tint. 4 hearts. Decentralized nervous system. "Great. So we need to keep 3 organs and 4 organs alive. This is fine. This is totally fine." Rick was absolutely lying, and everyone knew it. "The human antibodies worked for us," Yuki said. "But our biology is completely different from his. We can't just give him a transfusion. What if we adapted them?" Trevor was already at his computer, fingers flying across the keyboard. "We've got his baseline biology from the scans. If we can modify the antibody structure to recognize his proteins instead of human ones." "That's insane," Yuki said. "That would take weeks of testing." "We don't have weeks," Vex'thor wheezed. "I'm already feeling the crystallization beginning. It's like breathing through broken glass." Rick made a decision. "Trevor, how fast can you model the modification?" "Give me 30 minutes. You've got 20. Yuki, prep the synthesis lab. Vex'thor, try not to die for the next hour, okay?" "I'll do my best," the ambassador said, which under the circumstances was darkly hilarious. What followed was the most intense hour of improvised xenobiology in human history. Trevor built protein models on the fly, testing them against Vex'thor's biology with software that was definitely not designed for alien physiology. Yuki synthesized antibody variants that probably violated several international treaties. Rick coordinated with medical staff who were very confused about why they were treating an alien with what looked like supercharged human immune cells. "His second heart's failing," a nurse called out. "Crystallization's visible on the scan." "We're almost there," Trevor shouted back. "Just need to stabilize the binding site and done. Yuki, it's ready." Synthesizing now. Yuki's hands moved with practiced precision, loading the modified antibodies into the medical injector. This is either going to save him or kill him faster. "Comforting," Vex'thor managed. "You want comforting? Go to therapy. You want to live? Trust the science." Rick took the injector. "This is going to hurt. More than crystallizing from the inside out." "Fair point." The injection went in. For 30 seconds, nothing happened. Vex'thor's vitals continued to drop. The crystallization spread. Then, suddenly, his body temperature spiked. "What's happening?" Rick demanded. "His immune system just woke up," Trevor said, watching the monitors with wide eyes. "It's recognizing the threat. It's fighting back." Vex'thor made a sound that his translator rendered as extreme distress. "Yeah, that's your immune system working," Yuki said. "Welcome to what humans call a fever. Your body's cooking the disease." "I'm dying," Vex'thor moaned. "No, you're healing. There's a difference, even though it doesn't feel like it. Humans feel like this regularly. Every flu season, buddy. You're insane. Your entire species is completely insane." "Yeah, we get that a lot," Rick said, checking the scans. "But look, the crystallization is reversing. Your hearts are stabilizing. Trevor, you beautiful genius. It's working." Over the next 2 hours, they watched Vex'thor go through what humans would call a moderate immune response. What Vex'thor called the worst experience of his entire 73-year life. "Everything hurts," he whimpered. "That's the inflammation response. Very normal. I'm so cold. Now I'm too hot. Now I'm cold again. Fever cycling. Drink this water. I can't breathe properly. Your respiratory chambers are full of mucus. It's your body expelling the dead disease particles. Here's a tissue. This is horrific. This is what human children go through and then go to school the next day," Yuki said. Vex'thor stared at her. "You let your children experience this? I mean, we give them soup and cartoons, but yeah. Your species," Vex'thor said slowly, "is made of nightmares. Look on the bright side," Trevor said cheerfully. "You're going to live. The crimson rot is dead in your system. You've now got immunity. You literally just experienced 0.01% of what the human immune system can do, and it saved your life." Vex'thor lay back on the medical bed, exhausted, feverish, and alive. "I want to file a formal complaint with the universe." "Get in line," Rick said. "But first, let's save your galaxy." The Emergency Galactic Council session was, diplomatically speaking, a complete disaster, mainly because half the attending representatives were already infected, and the other half were panicking about becoming infected. Vex'thor appeared via hologram from Earth's CDC facility, still looking rough but significantly less crystallized than before. "Order!" Council Director Brennak called out, though her three-toned voice lacked its usual authority. "Ambassador Vex'thor, you survived. This is unprecedented. Explain immediately." "The humans saved me," Vex'thor said, "using their own immune system antibodies, adapted for my biology." The council chamber fell silent. "That's impossible," Chief Medical Officer Talric said. "We've tried every antibody treatment. They fail within days." "Human antibodies don't fail." Vex'thor pulled up the data. "Because humans have been fighting diseases for their entire evolutionary history, their immune systems are basically weapons grade." On Earth, standing just off camera, Rick whispered to Yuki, "Did he just call us weapons grade?" "I think that's a compliment. From a diplomatic standpoint, probably not." Vex'thor continued his presentation, showing Earth's disease history, the plague's failure to gain a foothold, the statistics that should have been impossible. With each new piece of information, the Council's reactions went from disbelief to horror to a kind of disgusted fascination. Representative Kix, tentacles writhing in agitation, finally spoke. "Let me understand this correctly. Humans survived because they evolved in conditions we would classify as biologically hazardous? Correct. They regularly expose themselves to pathogens that would kill most species? Also correct. And they drink the secretions of other mammals? I wish I could say that was incorrect, but yes." The council erupted into chaos again, shouting in multiple languages. Several representatives activated their biohazard protocols right there in the chamber. One fainted, which seemed to be becoming a pattern. "Enough!" Brennak roared. "We're dying. 47 worlds are gone. Do we have a solution or not?" Vex'thor nodded. "The humans have a proposal. It's insane, potentially traumatic, and goes against every health and safety regulation we've ever written, but it will work." He stepped aside, and suddenly Rick, Yuki, and Trevor appeared in the hologram. "Hey there, galactic neighbors," Rick said with a casualness that made several representatives flinch. "So we've been thinking about your little plague problem." "Little?" someone sputtered. "Compared to some of the stuff we've dealt with, yeah, pretty manageable. Anyway, here's the thing. You need immunity, and we've got immunity to spare, so we're proposing an exchange program." Yuki pulled up a presentation that she'd clearly made in about 20 minutes and was mostly held together with optimism and coffee. "We'll establish immunity training centers here on Earth. You send representatives from each species, we expose them to controlled doses of various pathogens, build up their immune systems, and send them home with the tools to save their people." "You want to intentionally infect us?" Talrix looked horrified. "With supervision and medical support, yes," Yuki said. "It's called immunization. Humans have been doing it for centuries. By giving ourselves diseases on purpose," Trevor added. "Which sounds insane, but it works." The council stared at them. "You're proposing we voluntarily travel to Earth, a planet you yourselves describe as a biological warfare zone, and let you infect us with diseases," Kix said slowly. "When you say it like that, it sounds bad. Rick admitted. But consider the alternative, which is extinction. He makes a fair point, Vex'thor said. I experienced what they call a mild immune response. It was the most horrible thing I've ever felt. And I once sat through a 7-hour budget negotiation. But I'm alive, and the crimson rot is dead in my system. Brennak looked at her fellow council members, looked at the map showing red dots spreading across the galaxy, looked at the mortality statistics that kept climbing. What are your terms? She asked quietly. No terms, Rick said. We're not going to charge you for saving your lives. That would be messed up. Just show up, trust the process, and try not to panic when you feel like you're dying. You're not dying, you're just healing, and there's a difference even though it feels the same. We'll need facilities, Yuki added. Medical equipment compatible with various biologies, full biological data on each species, and probably therapists on staff because this is going to be traumatic. I'm calling it Disease Boot Camp, Trevor said cheerfully. Or maybe Immunity University. Still workshopping the name. Please don't, Yuki muttered. The council deliberated for exactly 30 seconds before Brennak spoke. We accept. We'll begin sending representatives immediately. And humans? Yeah? Thank you. Even though this is horrifying. You're welcome, Rick said. Even though we're about to make it more horrifying. After the transmission ended, Vex'thor turned to the 3 humans. You realize you've just agreed to essentially torture representatives from 200 species for their own good? We prefer aggressive immunity training, Rick said. But yeah, basically. You're very strange beings. Yeah, Yuki said, smiling. We get that a lot. The Human Immunity Training Center in Geneva was, by all accounts, the strangest educational facility in the galaxy. Building C housed representatives from 17 different species, all currently experiencing what humans called the common cold. The sounds of alien misery echoed through the halls. I'm dying, wheezed Cathor Warrior Prime Zaxel, who'd previously survived 3 different wars. You have a runny nose, said his human handler, a cheerful nurse named Patricia. Drink your orange juice. This is warfare. This is Tuesday. In Building F, the Zentari meditation masters were learning that you cannot, in fact, meditate away the flu. But you could meditate while having the flu, which was apparently a valuable life lesson. Building J had been converted into what Trevor insisted on calling the Stomach Bug Spa, which everyone agreed was the worst name possible for a facility where people learn to survive gastrointestinal diseases. The name stuck anyway. Ambassador Vex'thor walked through the central courtyard, reviewing reports on his tablet. 6 months into the program, and they'd successfully trained over 10,000 galactic representatives. The Crimson Rot was now classified as manageable across 78 worlds. The remaining infected planets were showing improvement. Vex, Rick called out, walking over with coffee in hand. He'd long since stopped using the ambassador's full name. Got your latest batch coming in tomorrow. 50 representatives from the Silicon Collective. The ones who tried to upload themselves to escape the plague. Yeah, turns out digital consciousness can still get viruses. Who knew? Rick took a sip of his coffee. We're setting them up in Building M. Yuki's designed a modified program for synthetic biology. How's she holding up? She's written 3 papers on cross-species immunology and been nominated for a Galactic Medal of Science. So pretty well. Trevor's been insufferable about the whole thing, obviously. As if summoned by his name, Trevor bounded over with the energy of someone who'd had way too much coffee. Vex, you've got to see this. The 4 taxi who came in last month, they're already showing full immunity to 6 different pathogens. 6! Their immune system's adapted faster than any species we've tested. That's excellent news, Vex'thor said. I know, right? We're publishing the data next week. I'm calling the paper Adaptive Immunity in Previously Disease-Free Species, a Case Study in Controlled Pathogen Exposure. Catchy, right? It's very technical, Vex'thor said diplomatically. Yeah, Yuki said the same thing. Anyway, gotta run. Building C needs more tissues. They're going through about 500 boxes a day. Trevor jogged off, still somehow enthusiastic about mucus management. Rick and Vex'thor watched him go. Your species is very strange, Vex'thor said. It had become something of a running joke between them. Yeah, but we're your kind of strange now. They walked together toward the main administrative building. The grounds were full of aliens in various states of mild illness, all supervised by human medical staff who treated life-threatening diseases from the galactic perspective like minor inconveniences. The Council's officially recognizing Earth as a core medical world, Vex'thor said. Full membership, voting rights, access to all galactic resources. That's nice, Rick said. We're still going to charge you for parking, though. Budget cuts, you understand. After saving the galaxy, you're going to charge for parking. Administrative fees are administrative fees, Vex. Inside the building, Yuki was giving a presentation to a group of new arrivals. Vex'thor and Rick slipped into the back of the room. The thing you need to understand, Yuki was saying to 20 nervous-looking aliens, is that feeling sick is not the same as being sick. Your bodies are learning. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, you'll feel like you're dying. But humans go through this and then go to work, go to school, run marathons. You'll be fine. What if we're not fine? Asked a small, crystalline being. Then we've got a full medical staff ready to help. But statistically, you're going to be fine. We've processed over 10,000 individuals, and our success rate is 99.7%. What about the 0.3%? They got better anyway, they just complained more. The group laughed nervously. Yuki smiled. Look, I get it. This is scary. You're from civilizations where disease was eliminated. Coming to Earth and intentionally getting sick goes against everything you know. But the alternative is the crimson rot, and that has a 99.8% mortality rate. So, perspective. After the presentation, the three humans and Vex'thor ended up in Rick's office, which had accumulated an impressive number of alien artifacts, thank you gifts, and one galactic medal being used as a coaster. The Council wants to give you three the Medal of Galactic Service, Vex'thor said. Oh good, I need another coaster, Rick said, gesturing to the existing medal. That's a priceless symbol of galactic appreciation. It's the perfect size for my coffee mug. Humanity's going to be famous, Trevor said, leaning back in his chair. The species that saved the galaxy through superior disease resistance and questionable hygiene practices. We're also being nominated for the Most Dangerous Species Award, Yuki added, checking her messages. Apparently there's debate about whether we saved the galaxy or posed a biological threat to it. Both, Vex'thor said. Definitely both. A notification popped up on the main screen. New arrivals from the Outer Rim colonies. They were asking about Earth's safety protocols. Rick pulled up the standard welcome message. Dear new arrivals, welcome to Earth. You're about to experience what humans call getting sick. It will be unpleasant. You will survive. Please don't panic. Sincerely, the species too stubborn to die properly. You can't send that, Yuki said. Why not? It's accurate. It's terrifying. Also accurate. Vex'thor laughed. 6 months ago, he'd come to Earth expecting to document humanity's extinction. Instead, he'd documented the most ridiculous salvation of galactic civilization in history. You know what the worst part is? He said. The Council's already asking if humans can help with other problems. There's a resource crisis in Sector 7, political instability in the fringe worlds, and someone wants to know if humans have experience with asteroid mining. Do we? Trevor asked. I think we hit one with a spacecraft once to see what would happen, Rick said. Does that count? Probably not. But knowing humanity, you will figure it out anyway through some combination of chaos and refusing to accept that something's impossible. Yuki raised her coffee mug. To humanity, saving the galaxy through sheer biological spite. Rick and Trevor raised their mugs. Vex'thor raised his water bottle, which had a straw because apparently his species couldn't drink from open containers without making a mess. To humanity, they echoed. Outside the window, another transport ship landed, bringing more aliens to learn the ancient human art of surviving diseases through sheer stubbornness. The Immunity Training Center's flag flew over the compound, showing Earth's globe surrounded by stars. Below it, someone had hung an unofficial banner that read, Welcome to Earth. You're going to hate it here. You're welcome anyway. Vex'thor looked at his three human friends, the CDC captain who treated galactic extinction events like paperwork problems, The virologist who'd turned cross-species immunology into an art form. The immunologist who was way too excited about disease statistics. "I'm writing a book about this," he said suddenly. "Yeah?" Rick asked. "What's it called?" "Humanity, the galaxy's greatest disaster and only hope." "Catchy," Yuki said. "Accurate, too." "I'm dedicating an entire chapter to the time Trevor tried to explain fermented foods to the Zentari Council, and 3 of them fainted." "In my defense," Trevor said, "I didn't know that describing cheese-making would cause a diplomatic incident." "You told them humans intentionally rot milk and then eat the results." "Because we do." Rick's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and groaned. "Great. Someone from the Galactic News Network wants an interview about humanity's role in ending the plague crisis." "What are you going to tell them?" Vex'thor asked. "The truth, I guess, that we didn't do anything special. We just survived because we've been too stubborn to die for the last 200,000 years, and we're not about to start now. That's not going in my book. It's not poetic enough." "Fine. Say we saved the galaxy through the power of questionable life choices and spite-based immunity." "Better," Vex'thor admitted, making notes. A commotion outside caught their attention. Through the window, they could see a new arrival, a tall, multi-limbed alien, being escorted across the courtyard by Patricia. The alien was reading a pamphlet titled, "So You're About to Get Your First Cold, a Survival Guide." "Is that Ambassador Vex'thor from the Outer Territories?" Yuki asked, squinting. "Yeah," Vex'thor confirmed. "High-ranking diplomat, very dignified, very proper. This should be interesting." Rick stood up. "I should probably go welcome them, make sure they understand the program." "You mean make sure they don't panic when they start sneezing?" Trevor asked. "Exactly that, yes." As Rick left, Vex'thor turned to Yuki and Trevor. "Do you ever think about how strange this all is? 6 months ago, you were dealing with what you considered a minor outbreak. Now you're training the entire galaxy to survive diseases." "I try not to think about it too much," Yuki admitted. "When I do, I get overwhelmed by the existential weight of being responsible for galactic survival." "I think about it all the time," Trevor said cheerfully. "It's amazing. We're literally rewriting the immunological profile of hundreds of species. This is the most significant medical achievement in galactic history, and it's happening because humans are really good at not dying." "You say that like it's simple," Vex'thor said. "Isn't it, though? Survival's pretty simple when you break it down. Don't die. Keep not dying. Figure out how to help others not die. Repeat as needed." "That's going in the book, too," Vex'thor muttered, typing on his tablet. Yuki's computer pinged with a new message. She read it and smiled. "Good news. The Hive Worlds just reported a 70% recovery rate. The treatment protocols we developed are working." 47 worlds fell, Vex'thor said quietly. "But because of what you've done here, the next 47 won't." "We just shared what we knew," Yuki said. "Any species would have done the same." "No," Vex'thor said firmly. "They wouldn't have. Most species would have hidden the cure, demanded payment, used it as leverage. Humans just gave it away and said, 'Come learn how to save yourselves.' That's not normal. That's exceptional." "Well," Trevor said, "we're exceptionally good at surviving. Might as well share the knowledge." Rick returned with Ambassador Vex'thor, who looked exactly as dignified and terrified as expected. The ambassador's translator was working overtime to convey their concerns. "This facility is where you intentionally spread disease? Under controlled circumstances with full medical supervision, yes," Rick said patiently. Ambassador Vex'thor went through the program. He survived. You will too. Vex'thor looked at Vex'thor. "Is it truly as terrible as the reports suggest?" "Worse," Vex'thor said honestly. "You'll feel sensations you didn't know were possible. Discomfort in places you didn't know could be uncomfortable. Your body will do things that seem designed specifically to humiliate you. And then?" Vex'thor asked weakly. "And then you'll be alive, immune, ready to save your people. The crimson rot killed billions. A runny nose is temporary. Choose wisely." Vex'thor straightened their multiple spines. "When do we begin?" "Tomorrow morning," Rick said. "For now, get settled in your quarters. Try the soup. It's actually pretty good. And remember, whatever you feel, humans go through it and then go to parties afterward. You'll be fine. After Crixinal left, escorted by Patricia, who was already explaining the difference between tissues and handkerchiefs, the group returned to watching the compound. You know what's funny? Rick said. We spent decades trying to get the Galactic Council to take Earth seriously. Sent applications, diplomatic requests, scientific papers, all rejected because we were too primitive, too chaotic, too disease-ridden. And now? Vex'thor asked. Now we're the most important medical facility in the galaxy because we're disease-ridden. The thing that kept us out is the thing that saved everyone. Irony, Yuki said. The universe runs on it. Speaking of irony, Trevor said, pulling up a newsfeed on his tablet. There's a headline here. Humanity nominated for both saviors of the galaxy and most likely to accidentally end it. How is that possible? Vex'thor asked. Different committees. The Medical Council nominated us for the savior thing. The Safety Regulations Committee is still processing the fact that we survived by ignoring every safety regulation. To be fair, Rick said, we didn't know they were regulations. We were just living our lives. That's what scares them, Vex'thor said. Humans do accidentally what other species can't do on purpose. A thought occurred to Yuki. Vex, when you go back to the Council, are you going to tell them about everything humans do? The extreme sports, the spicy food challenges, the fact that we keep venomous animals as pets? Vex'thor considered this. I'm going to tell them the important parts. The disease resistance, the immunity protocols, the medical achievements. And the other stuff? I'm going to let them discover that gradually, for their mental health. Probably wise, Rick agreed. Finding out we do parkour and eat ghost peppers for fun might cause another panic. Wait until they learn about Australia, Trevor said. What's Australia? Vex'thor asked. A continent where everything is trying to kill you and humans vacation there. That can't be real. It absolutely is. Venomous spiders, venomous snakes, venomous octopi, aggressive birds, sharks, jellyfish that can stop your heart, and plants that cause pain so severe, people have died from shock. Vex'thor stared at him. And humans live there voluntarily? 26 million of them. That's going in a separate book, a horror book. The sun was setting over the Geneva facility, casting long shadows across the compound. In buildings C through M, aliens from across the galaxy were learning what humans had always known. That survival sometimes means being uncomfortable, that healing often feels worse than the injury, and that the strongest medicine is often the most unpleasant. Rick's phone buzzed again. He read the message and smiled. The council just approved funding for 10 more facilities. Looks like we're expanding the program. Where? Yuki asked. Tokyo, Lagos, Sao Paulo, Mumbai, and 6 others. They want global coverage for when the next wave of species arrives. We're going to need more staff, Yuki said. More doctors, nurses, researchers. Already on it, Trevor said. I've been working with medical schools worldwide. Turns out teaching alien immunology is a popular elective. Of course it is, Vex'thor muttered. Why wouldn't humans want to study alien diseases? It's perfectly in character. His tablet chimed with an incoming call. Council Director Brennak's face appeared on the screen. Ambassador Vex'thor, I need your assessment. Is the human immunity program sustainable long-term? Vex'thor looked at his 3 human colleagues. Rick, who'd probably saved thousands of lives while maintaining a completely deadpan expression. Yuki, who'd revolutionized cross-species medicine while being slightly annoyed about all the attention. Trevor, who'd turned galaxy saving into a research opportunity and was genuinely enjoying every minute. Director, humanity has been running this program for their entire evolutionary history. They call it childhood. Yes, it's sustainable. Excellent. We're sending another 5,000 representatives next month. Can Earth handle the influx? Can Earth handle it? Vex'thor looked at Rick, who shrugged and nodded. Yes, Director. Earth can handle it. Earth can apparently handle anything. After the call ended, Vex'thor saved his notes and closed his tablet. Well, that's my report filed. Earth is officially the galaxy's hospital, immune system trainer, and apparently source of constant anxiety for safety regulators. Could be worse, Rick said. How? We could have told them about nuclear weapons, or reality television, or the fact that we deep fry butter and eat it at state fairs. Please stop, Vex'thor said. My therapist can only handle so much per session. They stood together, watching the last light fade from the sky. Somewhere in Building F, someone was experiencing their first fever. In Building J, someone else was learning about immune response the hard way. In Building C, a warrior who'd survived 3 wars was being defeated by seasonal allergies. And in a small office in Geneva, 3 humans and 1 alien contemplated the strange turn of events that had made Earth, the planet nobody wanted to visit, into the place everyone needed to be. You know what I haven't told the council yet? Vex'thor said suddenly. What? Yuki asked. That humans still don't have the crimson rot completely figured out, that it could mutate, that there might be other plagues coming, that this might not be the last crisis. Are you going to tell them? Rick asked. Eventually, but not today. Today they need to believe the crisis is over. They need hope. And tomorrow? Tomorrow we keep working. Because that's what humans do, isn't it? Keep working, keep surviving, keep helping others survive no matter what. Yeah, Rick said simply. That's what we do. Trevor raised his coffee mug one more time. To humanity, still too stubborn to die, and now teaching everyone else how to be stubborn too. They drank to that. Outside, the stars began to appear. Somewhere out there, 47 worlds were empty, but 78 were recovering. And 200 species were learning that survival wasn't about avoiding disease. It was about facing it, fighting it, and coming out the other side stronger. All because one species had spent 200,000 years doing exactly that. And nobody had thought to ask them how until it was almost too late. Vex'thor looked at his book notes. Humanity, the galaxy's greatest disaster and only hope. He added one final line. They saved us by simply being themselves, which, terrifyingly, might be the most powerful force in the universe. Then he saved the file, finished his water, and prepared for tomorrow, when 50 new representatives would arrive to learn the ancient human art of catching a cold and living to complain about it. It wasn't the ending anyone expected, but it was the ending everyone needed. And that, Vex'thor thought, was very human indeed.